Hey guys, and a very special welcome and thank you to all the new subscribers. I cannot believe how much our little crew is growing around here, and I'm really just so grateful for every last one of you. So, with that said, let's kick off the January monthly setup. This month's theme is vinyl records, and it was voted on by my fabulous Patreon patrons. To start this one off, I decided to go very bold and very graphic for the cover page. I found a super cool digital illustration of a record that I'm recreating, and I'll leave that down in the description along with all the materials I'm using if you want to check that out. I'm doing a rough sketch with a white color pencil and doing the basic outline with an acrylograph pen. For the first layer of white, I'm using gesso as the base. This is typically used as a surface prep medium for canvas paintings, but I thought it would maybe work well here as a base since I want the white to be super opaque. Once that's mostly dry, I'm painting on top of that with just white acrylic paint. Yes, acrylic paint again. I'm probably a crazy person for using acrylic yet again after my 2021 Polaroid spread debacle, but I got a really great recommendation in the comments for that video for the next layer, so I thought I would just give it a go. But the final layer of white will be done in matte medium, and this add-in is typically used to get rid of that glossy sheen that acrylic paint has and just make it more translucent, funny enough. In this case, that matte finish will get rid of that sticky icky that the acrylic by itself tends to have, and therefore, in theory, won't stick to the pages when it's dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to head back into the journal and work on the quote page. For this, I'm using one of 4 pop colors, pink in this case, to draw a more vintage style record player in a glass case with the quote, "Please don't stop the music," right under it. I'm not the biggest Rihanna fan or anything, but I just thought it was a fitting quote for the beginning of the year. For me, music has always just been a huge part of my life. It can take me just somewhere else, especially with the year that was 2020. It was that normal, that comfort, and really it can be a metaphor for just about anything positive and constant in your life. But yeah, this lyric instantly came to mind with this theme. So initially with this quote, I used a tombow for the word music, but I didn't think the pink matched up too well. It was like a little too neon looking, so I went over it with an acrylograph pen, thought I would add in some white highlights, and then pulling the cap off the acrylograph pen, this mess happened. So after dying a bit inside, I cleaned off what I could and went in with the Posca paint pen to fix it up since I was very untrusting of the acrylograph pen at this point. And then I decided to do an outline, just outline the whole thing in white to, I don't know, distract. But luckily it wasn't disastrous. But yeah, back to the cover page. I'm using a black Posca pen to clean the edges and draw in lines where the bits of white meet. Then I'm just using a fine liner to draw in the little grooves that are in a vinyl record. And there's no solid method here. I'm just following that circular path, leaving a bit of white space in between. Up top, I'm using all the pop colors to write in January in a pretty simple condensed font. I thought it would be a nice contrast to the boldness of the graphic. I didn't want to compete with it, but it also related well to the illustration on the quote page. So once I get this page glued in the journal, this spread is a done deal, and I'm pretty happy about how this one turned out. Okay, moving on to the monthly spread, I'm popping in my usual grid calendar. I'm using a gray fine liner here instead of black just so it's not so demanding on the page. I want the other elements to sort of command more attention, so I thought this could be a way to accomplish that. Same thing with the lighter pink for the day headers, and though it's darker, the drop shadow is also gray for the same reason. To pull in that swirliness from the cover page, I'm going to cut out more black paper in a similar shape and paste down to this corner. I also wanted it to appear like it was behind the calendar, so I ended up using an X-Acto knife to reveal that little corner of the calendar. Along the top, I'm using my handy dandy iris tool to draw a few records, and man, this thing makes it quick and easy to blaze through drawing perfect circles. Someone requested a video on this tool, and I think I want to work it into some of my favorite supplies video maybe. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. But next I'm writing in my YouTube growth tracker and the month down in the corner in that same condensed style before adding in some striped and dotted washi tape. For the finishing touch, I'm just doing little groupings of colorful dots just to give it a little more interest and color. And bam, this spread is done. Okay, next up is the habit and mood trackers, and I'm doing a little scene based on a bit of my own living room. I'm breaking the habit trackers up into 2 framed trackers, which is a little different for me, but it could be cool to see how I keep up with things I'm tracking in the first half of the month versus the second half, but I honestly just did it since it took up less space on the page. So I'm also thinking about switching up my habits for January, so I'm only filling in 2 here, reading and water intake. And although I said last month that I wasn't too sure I was going to continue a mood tracker, I could not resist the idea for the mood tracker, so here we are, another mood tracker. This one is based on one of the players we actually have in the house and the stand that my boyfriend Cam built before I moved here. But this record player is really cool, and it can be so mesmerizing watching all those splattered and marble design records play upright on this. So as you probably guessed, I'll color in the records every day based on my overall mood. This page also gets the washi tape and color dots treatment just to tie it in more with the theme. Okay, the next page will be the night log page. I really enjoyed having this page last month, so I'm keeping it in this month, and this is basically where I write down what we have for dinner and what we watched. So I do this to track takeout days. I use it to track dinners since for some reason I try not to make the same things too close together. And then I track and highlight my favorite movies or TV shows. So this pretty simple page serves a few purposes, which I love. But yeah, for this one, I'm doodling another record player up top for the header and splitting the page in half for the meals on one side and the corresponding movie or TV show on the other side. I wish I would have used a lighter pink to alternate the days here, but I still like how this spread turned out. Okay, the last spread in this setup is of course the weekly spread, and since January starts on a Friday, this one will be a longer weekly, so I decided to do a Dutch door layout. I'm getting the first few days in there and then working in some larger records that bleed off the page. My Posca paint pen also had a little leakage moment, but luckily it was near the edge of the page and a cotton ball fixed that right up. So for the daily headers, I'm doing little circles and was planning to write the numbers in the center. I didn't really plan this at all and didn't end up liking it, so ended up changing these headers, but the beauty of the paint pens is you can just layer something else right on top. As you can see, I'm doing the same thing on the other side of the spread for the rest of the week. It's crazy to think that this weekly is going to last 10 full days into the month. I guess that's why I really wanted to like those headers. So I ended up filling them in with the black acrylograph since it didn't burn me on this spread anyways. And then I'm writing the days of the week in pink, and I like this so much better. Yeah, I really just had a time with the paint pens this month, not even gonna lie. That's kind of why I went back and forth between the acrylograph and the Posca paint pen. It was just like, who's gonna treat me right this time? Who's gonna treat me right? But for the last section of this weekly, I'm doing a focus check-in, and I'm not sure how often I'll make one of these up, but this is just a place to check in when it comes to those 4 categories I set up in my 2021 setup: health, relationships, work, and art. Just so I keep touching base with those goals and the intentions I set for myself. But yeah, just doodled in another record player, wrote focus across the center of it, and split the page into these 4 sections. I will be streaming the rest of the weeklies on Twitch, and I'll leave that information down in the description as well. Before we get into the final flip through, I want to remind you guys to like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to plan along with me in 2021. I'm super excited and hopeful for the year to come, and I'm sending all the good vibes your way. If you've liked this setup and want to get your hands on printables, stickers, and just more from this month, consider joining the collection over on Patreon, where tiers start at just $2 a month. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one, which I think will be my 2020 flip through. But until then, Merry Christmas and Happy 2021, friends. And if you like this video, here are a couple more I think you would enjoy.